This video is intended for viewers aged 13 and up. If you are not 13 yet, please leave. So yes, here are with Coelagon, and let's spend another 30 minutes talking about a deluxe class transformer, why don't we? But yeah, so we are starting off the beast mode as per usual with review 25, and yeah, I think this beast mode is honestly really good. We're starting to get to the really good territory of TT-GS10 here. I wanted to start off with the rougher ones first because why not? But yeah, here we have Coelagon, all in his beast mode. He's the old man of the group, if my intro didn't tell you that. But yeah. Old man, haha, old man joke, so I'm gonna go to sleep now. And honestly, this is the figure where the plastic really starts to shine. No pun intended, even though it is a very nicely high gloss plastic. There's none of that brown plastic here at all, so it's all the very nice high gloss plastic that is the main one of the main plastic that's shown off on these figures. And honestly, it works very well. You can see how shiny it is. It's beautiful. It's great. It thumbs up. Thumbs up. To look more in depth into this beast mode, starting off with the face, I like the gold paint. I'm going to take off these accessories from the 5mm ports, though that's how I do recommend to put them on the beast mode. But yeah, the gold is very nicely done. It's kind of blown out on the camera. It's kind of more of a yellowish, but I assure you, in person, it's a very nice gold. Yeah, in person, it's a very nice gold that I highly recommend you try to look at in person. It's just beautiful. And then there's some more of that kind of tealish turquoise. This is kind of the most it's shown off on any of the non-half-shell figures. So, yeah, that's always nice. But yeah, there's gold all throughout him. And then there's also a couple splotches of silver. There's this bit of gray, but like the best silver definitely has to be on these arms and the little fin at the top of its head, you know? Though that silver does show up at the bottom of his feet as well. His face looks like a nice piranha, and this is why I don't really like the name Piranacon for the combiner set, because there's a piranha in the team. Why is the whole group called Piranacon when they combine, when this one's the only one that's a piranha? Yeah, but whatever. The face is very nicely sculpted. I love all the detail, and I feel like this little bit of the greenish paint really does accentuate the detail of the eye that's kind of lost on the original version of the figure. But, yeah. Moving on to the back, this is honestly a pretty ingenuitive way of using the blot mold, you know? By having it be the torso, I really like it. I think it's very well done. I think it's a very smart thing. And then, moving on to the tail, it's his gun. But this is really the only bit of weapon storage I actually usually use on the beast modes, because it's very well done. You see, when you take it out, you can see that it doesn't have a 5mm port. It actually uses the stand port, the kind of 3mm stand port, to plug into the stand port. And I think that's very smart. I kind of wish he was able to have like a normal stand port, but I guess you can use this 5mm port here at the bottom. And yeah, one of the downsides of this plastic is that it seems to have a tolerance issue where certain bits pop out. We'll get more on a later figure. But yeah, speaking of the bottom of the figure, yeah, there's just kind of a robot torso with his arms kind of hanging out, but you can hide the face by turning it around, which is nice. And I do like how the hands get integrated into the mouth, where it just kind of looks like the top of the mouth, you know? I think that's very nicely done. As per usual with the beast mode, we'll get into the accessories in robot mode, so let's just get straight into the articulation. This guy's articulation is pretty good, especially, all these guys are really good for beast modes, but here's where we get into some fun. His mouth is able to open, as you would hope, and I do like the detailing in there. It's kind of hidden, but I kind of wish it had a bit of tongue detail though, so you're able to open it and close it to your heart's content. The arms, they are on swivel joints that allow them to go basically all the way around, except it does get limited by the 5mm port there, But who cares? Fin, I guess you could say, is on a hinge joint, but that's more used for transformation. And then the legs are interesting. They have a swivel joint here, which allows them to move forward and backward, as well as a ratcheted foot. Seems like a bit much, you know? But you gotta make sure that the ratchets are in the right place, because this guy can have stability issues if you don't properly pose him. Thankfully, of course, it doesn't work on camera. But yeah, posable feet. Bop, 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 bop. I do like the ratchet joints. I think it's done very well. And if you want, you can have them posed upward like this, have the tail kind of be it. But one problem with the tail is that this is too loose and it doesn't lock in, since it is a gun. But we'll get more into that when we get into gun mode. Why don't we? To check out his size, he is in beast mode. To the top of the head, he's about a little under 4 inches when he's posed like this, and a little under 5 inches to the top of the fin. And to compare him to other figures, here we have the Marvel Legends Mark 7 Iron Man. I'm not going to show his face because I think that's funnier. IG-11. Voyager class movie Optimus, and yeah, we're gonna zoom out now. That bit was honestly a bit old. Leader class Earthrise Optimus Prime, Generations Waspinator, Skylynx, and Coulter. Ooh, I slightly changed up the order this time. Ooh, ain't I creative? Ooh. So now we're gonna get into his robot mode, but in order to get there, we need to transform him. So, to start off, let's just kind of move the fin out of the way, and then untab the legs from these tabs here. There's one on both sides, but the legs will also be plugged in. While you're at it, you're probably also going to want to remove the tail weapon and throw it to the side. Weapon parts forming, oh no! From there, you're going to fold the legs all the way around, and untab them from each other. That was honestly a bit tight. And then from there, you're going to make sure that since it is using the Combiner Wars system as well, you gotta make sure that they're tabbed together, and you take your legs, and then find those portholes, and then port them into the proper slots on the leg, on these beast legs, plug them in, that'll lock everything into place. Do that on this side as well. And boom, you have your legs. Moving on to the upper body, as per usual, this is pretty simple. You're going to want to take your beast head and untab it, slowly but surely, making sure that you get the arms kind of out of there. And you're going to want to fold it down onto the pegs that you used for the legs. I'll try, but it oddly pops off there. And you're also going to want to move the old arms backward a bit so that you have room for other stuff. From there, you're going to finagle these down, swivel around the arms, swivel this area so that that section is in the front, and then you're going to move the hands out. These are significantly easier than some of the other bits, but it is still pretty tight, so you're going to want to get a good handling on it. And then you're going to want to do the same thing on the other side. Once you got both arms, you got to swivel the head around on its ball joint, pose him however you would like, and boom, here you have Coelagon in his old man robot mode. And all things considered, yeah, I do like this robot mode a good bit. It is a tiny bit generic, especially with the face. It's honestly the most generic face of all of these beast modes. Just kind of being a dude's head with glasses in a box. You've seen it 100 times if you've seen a Transformer. But, yeah, let's get a little bit closer into detail. Coelagon's head here kind of has a similar problem to Scylla's, in that the white plastic does kind of remove a lot of the detail. I still think that the white plastic here is brilliant. It's a beautiful white, and I think it's very well done on Takara and Hasbro's part. And I do really like the red visor. I like the color of red that they chose, and it doesn't look super sloppy. And same with the silver face. However, I wish that they probably put like a wash into this so that you could see the detail a bit better. I don't know, it's fine. I do like the head though, and I do kind of like how the fish head kind of rocks out behind it. But we'll get more into that fish head here in a little bit. The torso is fine. It's a Power of the Primes, like, blot torso, but that's still kind of your generic Power of the Primes torso. It's got the side bits here, but then it's got the combiner port here, and you're able to fold this down, and it gives you a 5mm port so that you can put in a Power of the Prime's hand, and it gives you magical powers, apparently. It's stupid. It's a stupid gimmick. I honestly hate the Power of the Prime's gimmick. It is just kind of like, oh yeah, combiners, but then also some of them have ports in their chest for some reason. Yeah, it's a stupid gimmick. But it does get carried here because these are simple remolds. Very heavy remolds, but still remolds nonetheless. But I do like the sculpting here. I do like that the gray plastic allows for the detail to shine a little bit more, and I do like the little bits of gold highlighting there. It's something they didn't really need to do, considering this is a Generations figure, but they did it anyways. I also I think that the square combiner port is honestly designed in here really well, and it fits with the color scheme pretty well. Moving on to the arms, they finally gave the upper arms a little bit of paint! Whoa! Holy crap! That adds a good bit of detail. But the lower arms are really where the detail shines. Yes, there is hollowness in the back, but honestly that's fine. But the silver paint really accentuates the detail that he has in his lower arms very well. I do honestly really enjoy it. We're going to skip the backpack for now to move on to the legs. Once again, they're kind of basically detailed. It's fine. It's some basic square detailing, but it is nice to have detailing there. But the lower legs, they are smothered in the gold plastic. I mean, not plastic, gold paint. And it's just very beautifully done. I also really like how the legs are integrated. They are a bit bulky and big, but it's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's fine. But yeah, the gold is very nice. And also the little bit of red there, and the little bit of the greenish paint, I think that's very well done. Thank you, Takara. But then we move on to the backpack. And this backpack's honestly fine most of the time. However, you may find that it does that. As when you try to plug it into the tabs, which I don't see any reason why it wouldn't go in the tabs, it just doesn't go in the tabs. Like, you push it in, and here it works, of course, but like, I found it that you can only tab in like one at a time, and when you try to tab in both, it just flops out. However, you may find it be more flush like this, you know? As you can see, it's a bit more flush to the back like this. But I just wish these tabs worked a bit better. It's annoying. Like, it's able to stay in place even when it's untabbed most of the time, but I just wish that worked a bit better. So I guess for now we're going to have it more flush to the back like this to see how it works like that, as that's the more likely position. You're going to have him in when you have him. Now we get to look at the accessories though, and you know, starting off, generic handpiece, it's got the swivel hand, whatever. We'll get more into it in the combined mode video, or the combined mode section of the big special edition video. But we'll get to that later. His base version comes with one of these swords that typically comes with Scylla, but you gotta kind of finagle it in there, and thankfully he's able to move it down so it looks like he can do that, which is a nice, cool detail, so at least it works for him. The accessory works for him, but I prefer him as a heavy weapons expert, as I like to give both of these swords to Scylla. More on that in a bit, though. As seen in his alternate mode, he comes with, oh no, I dropped it, he comes with 2 cannons. Woohoo, and these are basic white plastic, but once again, the white plastic on this set is very nice. And they use basic 5mm ports to port into the hands, and they also have 5mm ports at the end, which means they are Siege Blast Effect compatible, which is honestly a very nice addition. I like it when figures are able to just have Siege Blast Effects in them. I think it's a very nice addition. And yeah, these big cannons look very nice on him. I do like how they look on him. I kind of like him as like a heavy weapons guy, with how bulky his backpack is and how bulky his torso is compared to some of the others. I like him as a heavy weapons expert guy, and you can have him be like, you know? And yeah, I do like how these cannons look with him. From there, he comes with his tail gun. This is a specialty weapon. None of the other characters really get a weapon that's integrated with them, which is a bit odd for him, but the way this works is that you just kind of flip this around. I'm pretty sure the Nautilator figure also has an integrated weapon like this, but not in this set. and sadly it doesn't tab in, which means it's just going to kind of flap around with you. Thankfully, it's relatively tight, so you can shake it around without it really moving much, but when you try to touch it, it just kind of flops down easily. I wish it had that. But once again, you can see it has a 5mm port here as well as the sand port, and you're able to port it into his gun, and I don't really like how this looks. It just kind of seems a bit bulky, and it does lead his hand to sag down. If you put it in this hand, I've found that that hand has a bit of a poor tolerance. You can put it in his other hand, though, and that one should be a tiny bit tighter. Yeah. But yeah, I think this is a bit of an annoying gun. I prefer to give him the 2 smaller cannons, so if you want to store this on the figure himself, I found you can probably port him into one of the 5mm ports here by just porting it inside, like so. But yeah, but it's honestly a bit of an inelegant system, so I just kind of like putting it to the side, putting it in like a baggie or something, and then leaving it be until I have to put him back into beast mode. However, now we get into articulation, and once again, he has some pretty stock standard combiner limb, combiner wars era, prime wars era, combiner limb articulation for a deluxe class figure. His head is on a ball joint, which allows it to basically just swivel. It's not, the head design stops it from looking up and down, though you can use that kind of joint since mine's a bit loose to help him look up and down a little bit, but it's really just a swivel, in all honesty, even though from the back you can see that it is a ball joint. Though you can't see it on camera because of the fish head being in the way. But yeah, it's a ball joint. Just trust me. Just trust me, okay? Moving on to the arms. His arms are on ball joints, but they're also on the transformation joint, which you can use to manipulate when he's trying to go upward. He's usually only able to go upward that much with the ball joint. However, you can use the hinge joints from the transformation to make him go all the way up, like so. Which I think is a very nice addition. Come on, tripod, it'll work with me here. But yeah, that's a very nice addition for the articulation. Lower arms are also on ball joints, which allows them to swivel around like so, and also go a bit over 90 degrees. And as seen previously, the hands are able to hinge down thanks to transformation. His waist is able to swivel pretty easily, and then his hips are on ball joints, which act similarly to universals, allowing him to kick forward that far, backward that far until he hits the kibble, and allows him to go out basically all the way. Well, not basically all the way, a decent amount, though they will start to sag on you. Sorry, my hand is in the way. But yeah, they'll start to sag if you leave them out to dry too long. The hips have a swivel that's relatively loose. The knee is on a single bend that allows it to bend 90 degrees before it gets blocked by the foot. And yeah, that's it. Sadly, no ankle pivot, but that is stock standard. I understand why Scylla didn't have that issue, but I understand why most of these guys do with the way that they turn into their limb modes. Now, since we won't be going into the combined mode into the limb mode until we get to the combiner portion of the review, let's get into size comparisons, shall we? Now, as a figure, he's able to stand a little bit under 6 inches tall. Yeah, a little bit under 6 inches tall. And to compare him to other figures, here we have Iron Man, IG, Movie Prime, Leader Prime, Skylynx, Waspinator, and Coulter. So yeah, all in all, I think this old man is pretty good. He is a bit wibbly-wobbly in some areas. Some areas don't like to tab in super well, but overall I do like how he looks, how he plays, how he feels. I do wish he had ankle tilts as per usual, and I do wish some of his tolerances were a bit better, and especially when we get to the arm mode. But yeah, I do really like this figure, honestly, and we keep going up with the quality of these guys. So let's keep on moving up with the next next chunk of the review, the good old land shark guy claw man himself, Sea Phantom.